Yo, yo, yo. What's up, guys? We are live from Pennsylvania, from upstate New York, and from various other parts of the country. I am Kylan. I know it's been a while since I've been on this podcast, but school has not started yet, so I can still have some type of role right now. Not until tomorrow. But right now, I am rocking out. Uh, I am rocking out with Matt, with Dre, with Amina. Trey should be incoming, I believe. So yeah, so definitely, we have a full roster. I know it's been a while since all four of us have been together. So with summer schedules and a lot of other things, we just haven't been able to do it. But tonight, God has arranged this so we can do it. All right, so Matt, reintroduce yourself. I know it's been a while since anybody's seen you on this podcast, so go ahead.
The doc is back. I am Matthew Mack. I am the prima donna of this podcast. No, that's according to Colin here. I am at Small Red Horn.
Facts.
I am at Small Red Horn. If you have any problems, issues, or concerns, besides baseball season is heating up, and I haven't been here because of that, among other things.
Trey?
You say Dre or Trey?
Dre.
All right. Yo, what up? Your boy out of West Philly, born and raised. You can hit me up on the Twitter sphere underscore Andre Terry. If you got any feedback you want to give me about my insight on the sports world. But I'm just here to talk about how I see it and what's going on in the sports world. One of the biggest Eagles fans you ever meet, I promise you that one, was at the stadium today just trying to get some new gear. So shout out to the Eagles. Defending champs, baby.
Yo, Dre, send me something, dog. I couldn't get down there yesterday. I had to leave. But you got to send me something. Give me I'm a large, so give me something.
I got you. I got you.
Um Go ahead, Amina.
Hi everyone, it's Samina joining everyone today. Nice to be with everyone on this Sunday afternoon. We can get started. Yeah, also if you're in Philly, don't miss the sale for if you're a Phillies sports fan, down to Lincoln Financial Field this weekend. They're basically giving away stuff for free. It's like 90% off. Yeah,
I I hate you right now. I so hate it. Yo, if you're feeling it, I'll give you I need a 2X shirt, okay? My hat size is 7 3/4. I will pay you
gear
back. I
out
promise you. I need the stuff.
They're giving out gear for the Flyers, Phillies, Sixers, and Eagles gear, apparel, basically for free, 90% off this weekend at Lincoln Financial Field. Go down there and rack up. Okay? All right, let's get
Like for real though, like Matt and I are out of town. So for those of you Philly fans that love this podcast, like literally, I'm a large. You could give me an Eagles or a Sixers thing. Just saying, I will
I'm a 2X, bro. I'm a 2X. I'm a 2X. The hat size is 7 3/4. Hit a brother up. Hit a brother up.
hit both of us up on Twitter, and we'll send you the address that you can if you would be so kind. But anyway, so guys, we have a set topics, but as often happens, there are things because of when we do this podcast, things that break that cause us to change the schedule a little bit. So we have a couple of things going on. But before I do that, definitely make sure we are a growing podcast network. So definitely make sure that you subscribe to the channel. You follow us on Twitter, on Facebook, and on whatever. Share the podcast with your friends because most likely, if you're a big sports fan and you like this podcast, there are other big sports fans that would love to hear the Philly perspective and would love to listen to this podcast. So definitely share it. Help us grow. Friends friends share with other people. So make sure that you are sharing this podcast. I believe we do some great work here. And I believe that from our growing numbers that a lot of you agree. But moving right along, like I said, we have some breaking news, and it's not just the fact that John McCain died yesterday. Some people might think I'm alluding to that, but I'm not. There's also something that broke that even put him on the back burner right now. So guys, it has come out that Jemele Hill, as a lot of us have suspected, because we have talked about her on this podcast for a little bit. Jemele Hill is deciding that in 5 days or 6 days, at the beginning of September, she will amicably part ways with ESPN, and it's the end of an era. Another outspoken sister with great perspective and great journalistic ability is leaving ESPN. Now, some people are celebrating this. Now, depending on what side of the political spectrum you're on, you might not. You might only know Jemele Hill for being talked about by Donald Trump on Twitter, President Twitter fingers, and all that other stuff. But she is a great journalist. She's from Detroit. Great sister in the writing realm, in the sports writing realm. She is definitely more than just an outspoken talking head on Twitter. She definitely has some great insights. But let's get what's your thoughts on Jemele Hill leaving ESPN in September? We should say it's rumored, but I think it's been confirmed that she will be out of here in September, out of ESPN in September. So we'll start with the woman. Go ahead, Amina.
Just change in the tides of sports journalism that's shown lately over the last several years, of networks not wanting to hear different perspectives. They want a certain image, and what I feel as though Black journalists don't meet that image. When I watch sports programming, when I do, which is very seldom, I typically don't see that many Black women involved in the whole sports broadcasting, journalism, whatever you want to call it. And the few that are participating in those endeavors are becoming slim pickings. And this is just another one. I mean, I've been following Jemele Hill outside of our president's crazy Twitter rants about her for a while. And from what I see, she has a well-rounded head on her shoulders. She's outspoken. She says the truth about what needs to be said, and she knows what's going on. And that's not what the media wants today in the so-called fake news era, for the lack of better terms. I just feel as though they don't want the Black voice out here. And it's apparent, we're just talking about in the sports world, and it's also in talk radio. Over the years, they got rid of all the black daytime talk show hosts. They got rid of them one after one. You don't see too many of us on the air anymore on major networks. And if you do, it's ghetto ratchet fabulous trash. So, and Jemele Hill is the opposite of that. She represents, to me, class, responsibility, respect, all great attributes that you would want from a professional in their chosen career. And it's just disappointing that ESPN, which represents, the major sports, football, basketball, baseball, hockey, and all, doesn't want to hear at times other perspectives that aren't your traditional white voice. And they're pushing our people out of these platforms, which should be a good thing, because in the climate that we are in, it should be a situation where we have our own sports network. We shouldn't have to rely on ESPN and TNT and all that to hear what we want to hear about things if we don't want to. Right now, with all the money that we have, the collective buying power, have our own. I don't know what Jamel Hill is going to do going forward for the fall and beyond, but she has a great head on her shoulders, as I said, and she can go be successful, go beyond, go far. And she has it in her. And she's better off without ESPN, and she can do well in her life. It's just disappointing that it got to the point where she decided to leave. But it's okay. Because at the end of every tunnel, there's a light, and better opportunities come after leaving other opportunities. She'll be fine. That's what I gotta say about that.
Andre? Dre, you there?
Yeah, my fault. This like Colin often says, you were too nice for me, Amina. This racist world we live in, that's pushing this this idea that we have to be as sports journalists monolithic and think like them. It's absurd. It's totally absurd. She's able to speak her mind, and she should be able to speak her mind freely on issues, especially when a president comes in and comments on how procedures should be run, how we should adhere to certain things that are supposed to be known as an American tradition, which is a bunch of malarkey because this guy colludes with Russia. You know, one of the countries that are disgusting in this world. We don't want to have nothing to do with Russia, and there are Republicans that say these things. And he's a Republican president. He so supports the party so strongly, but he goes against almost everything he believes in when it's to his benefit. You know, a pastor talked about it on the Breakfast Club. He's not immoral. He's amoral. So he's all about winning the argument, making himself look good. Gaining profit. So that's all Trump is about. He's all about himself. He's not about you. He's not about an organization. He's about just winning, period. At any circumstance. He only became a Republican because he was trying to speak to the people he thought he could win. He talked about it back in the day. He said, I can say anything I want. And these guys that believe because they're nuts. But anyway, back to Jamel Hill.
Actually, that's not true. If that People magazine meme, that is not true. I have back checked that 5 times. That is not true.
It's not true. He did say though that if he ever ran for president, that he would go for Republican because they're the most.
That's not true either.
No,
that's not true either.
He actually
that's
said
not true either.
All right.
He actually said.
Thank you. Because it is on video, man. I can show you the video. If you need me to play the video, I can pull it up.
Hey, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong.
All right, hold up. Before we continue to go down this rabbit hole, I forgot to say this. The opinions represented, at least in this topic, as far as are just the reflections of these individuals. It does not reflect on the Crossover Sports Podcast or any other related entities. So go ahead, Andre.
So yeah, Jamel Hill was bought out of her contract that she had 2 years left on, and it was reportedly $2.5 million that was left on her contract, and I guess they couldn't take any more from this black woman, I guess we could call her the new Angela Davis, speaking out about issues that concern not just white America, but black America. So I applaud her for her courage and for her stance, because in this she's been a martyr. She's been a martyr for the cause, and the fact that she stood up for it. I'm going to miss her on ESPN, but seeing as how I don't really watch ESPN that much, it's not going to be that big a deal to me, because I watch it from time to time, but like I don't know, I'm one of them guys. It's hard to sit me down, and I'm usually in it watching it for like one thing or a particular, like I want to see something. Every once in a blue moon, I'll watch it just to see what happened in the sports world. But other than that, I'll read an article, or I'll just find out another way. I'll see what the scores were and then see articles from that, stuff like that. But shout out to Jemele Hill. We appreciate your time at the ESPN, and I know she's gonna go on to bigger and greater things. So one door closes, another one opens. If not, 20 more open. So it's the growth part, So it might seem like a bad thing, but I think it's a great thing, in hindsight.
All right, let's call this sucker for what it is. A few things. Number one, ESPN has been losing viewership for the past couple of years. That's number one. They've been trying to shake up every roster. They've been trying to bring back old people, i.e. Keith Olbermann, who I do follow, and I do like the way he covers sports and everything else, particularly baseball, and his commentary with politics, which he does no more of. So ESPN has been in trouble since day one. That's number one. Number two, everybody and their mom knows Jemele Hill's been very outspoken about various issues, particularly those of the African American side of things. So therefore, and it doesn't sit well with certain people, and that's okay. That's all right. So, the fact that now she's being released out of her contract for 2 years remaining, that's a good. It could be a good thing or a better thing, because now you're not under that not in that box of this is what you can and you can't do. We all know how talented she is. We know how one of the best. I think one of the best anchors on SportsCenter, in my opinion. But you know what? Let's take emotionalism out of this, okay? Call for what it is. Yes, she is one of the handful of people that have called out stupidity of every side, no man, right or left. She's called it out. You may not like her, you may like her, but you have to give respect to the fact that she's calling it sucker. She's calling it right down the middle. And this day and age, you need it more than ever. So, again, ESPN's they're getting their butts kicked by literally Fox Sports and now in CBS. They're getting killed, okay? Because at one point you were the worldwide leader in sports. Now you're just I mean, let's be real here, okay? The NBA coverage has gotten better, but their baseball coverage has lacked, in my opinion. Their football coverage is okay, but NFL Network, it's the NFL Network. You can't beat them. No way, in 2 ways in hell. This is no way. But their reporting has changed in the last 10 years, last 10, 15 years, whereas though it's no longer reporting the facts, reporting what's going on in the sports world, and things that outside the sports world that is affecting it. It's other than that, ESPN's getting their butts kicked, and they've been shaking everybody up. They've been shaking everything up. So they're trying. Look, to me, this is another ESPN move of look. We're getting our asses kicked, and we're in panic mode. That's how I look. To me, that's how I view it, and that's how I see it.
Let me just say this, right? Let's get a couple things out the way. It's an amicable split, which means both sides agreed to it. One, Jamel Hill, as we all said. Let me just start here. Let me just start with why ESPN. ESPN is still high in the ratings, still number one. I mean, saying they're getting their butts kicked is kind of like saying the NFL. What people on the other side say about the NFL. Oh, they're losing. They're doing this, and this, and it's not. I would just be honest with y'all. It's not based in reality. Like a lot of people feel like it is true they are losing ratings, but they're still number one. Like it's like the NFL. Like they are losing ratings too, but they're still number one by a wide margin. Let's keep it honest here. A lot of ESPN's problem, and Matt hit the nail on the head. A lot of ESPN's problems is not anything more than the fact of, as Matt has said on this podcast many a time before, it's because people don't need cable anymore, you know? And because of that, people are streaming. They're losing out to. Let's be honest with who is really beating ESPN. ESPN is losing because Amazon is cutting into their field. Netflix is cutting into their field. It's not Fox Sports. It's not CBS Sports. The NFL is doing their own thing. The NBA is going to do their own thing.
You can even watch football games now on Google. Google has a feature to watch NFL games now.
Right. It's Silicon Valley. A sports network is getting beat by the Silicon Valley nerds. Respect to you, Silicon Valley, some geniuses.
Even Facebook is streaming baseball game, MLB games,
right?
Commercial free.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. Let's be honest here. ESPN is not getting beat by Fox Sports. It's not getting beat by CBS Sports. They're getting beat by Silicon Valley. And just to be honest, nobody can beat Silicon Valley. Like Amazon's about to get an NFL contract. So let's just keep it a beat. ESPN is not losing because we sound like out there conservatives when they say the NFL is losing ratings and it doesn't meet with reality. NFL and ESPN are experiencing the same problem. They're getting beat by Silicon Valley. They are losing viewers, but it's not enough to not make them number one. Let's stop. Let's be factual here. It's getting too emotional, getting too opinionated. Let's be factual here. The next thing, Jamel Hill. We have said before, because we brought her up on this podcast before, that she was on her way out. I think I said that. I think Amita has said that she was on her way out. And it's not just because, as Matt said, they have had plenty of opinionated reporters before. But Jamel Hill has made the mistake of being opinionated and drawing the ire of one of the most of the, for lack of a better term, the Trump sexuals. She drew the ire of the Trump sexuals. And once you draw the ire of the Trump sexuals, you end up with people getting pulled. Once you draw the ire of the Trump sexuals, the cowboy maniacs for saying something about Jerry Jones, which rightfully so she should have said about Jerry Jones. Once you tweet about if you want to really hurt the Cowboys and really show Jerry Jones, to boycott the advertisers. Once she came for the advertisers, the writing was on the wall there. I love Jamel Hill. I follow her career since she started at ESPN. Love her. Wanted to keep going. But unfortunately, this is what happens when cream beats genius. Just like genius is beating the sports companies, cream beat a genius. Jamel Hill's a genius. She's a great reporter. But unfortunately for her, the cream and the fact that she was affecting the cream caused her to be out. And there have been rumors that I've been hearing for a while that Jamel Hill wasn't feeling supported by management. She wasn't getting that support of management. Like management had been supporting the other people that have been way more outspoken than her. And there are a lot of outspoken reporters, a lot of black ones in ESPN. Unfortunately for Jamel Hill, she just happened to draw the ire of the Trump sexuals, the cowboy maniacs, and all the other people that caused her to lose, that caused her to see ESPN, some people at ESPN, for what they truly are, which is basically, to borrow a line from Laura Ingraham, what they want you to do is shut up and write. That's exactly what they wanted her to do. And unfortunately, Jemele Hill, because she's from Detroit, she was not going to just shut up and write. So, and I love Jemele Hill. Like I said, when one door closes, another door opens. She was not going to shut up and write. And I think I've said this before. A lot of y'all need to make up your minds. Do y'all want people to shut up and write and just be robots? Or do you want opinion? Because if you want opinion, you're going to get opinion like this. People like Jemele Hill and Michael Smith that call it right down the middle don't really have a slant. Or if they do have a slant politically, they don't really let you know what their slant is. This is why people like Jemele Hill, Michael Smith, even Stephen A. Smith, Michelle Beadle make their money. They make their money because they can write, and they're not paying them to write anymore. They're paying them to give their opinion. And y'all really need to figure out, as somebody that's very opinionated, whose mouth gets him in trouble a lot, we're going to need to figure this out. What y'all want? Do y'all want opinion, or do y'all want people to just shut up and write? Y'all going to have to figure this out, because there is no Fox News in sports reporting. It's just not going to happen. So y'all need to figure out what y'all want. There's no Republican slant to sports news. There's no liberal slant to sports news. It is what it is, It is what it is. This whole kneeling thing, it is what it is. Stuff that happens in the NBA, it is what it is. There's no way you can slant this to the right or to the left or in the middle. You just give it, y'all, a lot of y'all just want news. Well, if you want news, you got to understand that sports is not just sports anymore. Sports crosses over, Sports and crime, Ohio State and Penn State. Sports and crime, Michigan State. You have so much stuff going on that's just happening in sports. Y'all need to figure out what y'all want. Do y'all want outspoken reporters, or do you not want outspoken reporters? Because let me just be honest. Half of y'all aren't watching SportsCenter, Fox Sports, or anything that you watch. You are not just watching for sports. You're lying to yourself. You're not watching for sports. It's like saying I'm watching Fox News or CNN or CBS, and I'm just looking for news. No, you're not. You're watching whatever sports show you watch because you're watching for your slant. Matt likes baseball. He probably watches the MLB Network. Let's just be honest. When you watch baseball, when you watch basketball, when you're not football, when you watch football, you are not just watching for a score. There is more going on than just a score. You are watching for your slant, which is, if I'm a baseball fan, that's what I want to hear. I want to hear about baseball news. I want to hear your opinion about baseball. That's what I pay you to do. Let's just be real here. People are not just paid to write sports anymore, especially somebody like Jemele Hill. She's not freaking covering the Detroit Pistons. She's on SportsCenter, and this is my problem with ESPN. This is my problem with all you sports people that have no idea what you're talking about, but you want to talk sports. You need to understand this. The people at ESPN are not being paid to help to keep your feelings at bay. Nobody cares about your feelings. I'm just going to be honest with you. Nobody cares about your feelings. They're covering the sport. They're covering the stuff that happens around the sport, and they're giving you their opinion. Some of it is mask and analysis, but basically all sports news is opinion. I'm going to just give you game right now. That's all it really is. It's opinion and analysis disguised as opinion. That's what it is. So make up your mind. Do you want vocal sports reporters, or you want robots? It just is what it is after that. All right? Moving right along. Ohio State. So, Urban Meyer, once again, messed up the second chance he had to not sound like a hostage in a situation, and unfortunately he failed. But we have this Ohio State situation with Courtney Smith and Zach Smith. Let's make some Ohio State fans mad at us. Go ahead, Matt.
I say this a lot in my job, and I'm saying it more and more often these days. You only have one job. That's it. You only have one job, and your job is to coach Ohio State football. Now, I'll admit to this. I haven't really been caught up on what's been going on at the Ohio State University. Excuse me. Okay. But what I do understand is It's all about the culture. If you're gonna go in to a program and build a culture, rebuild the culture, tear down the old culture, make a new culture, or keep the old culture going or tradition going, whatever the case may be, that is your main objective. That is your job. Your job is to literally bring about a winning tradition at the Ohio State University. That is your job. And all you had to do is to see to it that the young men under your care, under your stewardship, under your watch, and are taken care of, not just on the field, but off the field. Okay, that is your job. Now, as a coach, you can only do what you can. You can only do so much. That's why you have assistants. That's why, if anything goes left or right, the buck stops with the head coach. And it seems as though the buck kept on going. He didn't stop the buck. The buck just kept on rolling. He kept on going past the fields. So now the buck's out of control. Now, and all this stuff is going on. Now the question remains: what's going on? They're gonna look at what else? Leadership. And leadership. Sorry, and leadership pretty much is Urban Meyer, and unfortunately, Urban Meyer only had one job: is to make, and that was to literally keep that program out of the news, as far as jurisprudence is concerned. That's all he had to do. That was his main objective. That was his one job among coaching the football team, and that's it. I mean, nowadays everybody want to find some moral, try to find whatever morality is left in sports, let alone college sports. I mean, which, by the way, I'm gonna put this out there. You should not. Nobody should even have to look for morality in college sports. Nobody. But that's where we're at right now. We're trying to find the most moral, most perfect, most, I don't know, utopian thing you can find in sports, and usually lose anyway. But that's what we're
Hold
looking
on, I
for.
gotta stop you there. You always gotta look for morality when money's involved. But when it's $1 billion corporation, we absolutely have to hold it to a high scrutiny to how organizations are being run.
I agree with you. I agree with you wholeheartedly. But nowadays, the way companies are run, organizations are run, even the one with the most money, you gotta start looking. Like you said, you gotta start looking at some things. Now, if you look like you're looking for the most moral company that or organization that's doing well, there's few far between at this point, and Ohio State ain't one of them. Sorry to tell you, but if you want to ask me what should Ohio at the Ohio State University should do, if you if you are more worried about your image, strike one. If you're more worried about player safety and campus safety, that's a start there. You can start with the coach all you want, but the most important thing is you got to start with the inside of the inside of the inside. In this case, it is student safety. That's where you start. It should start with a freaking football team. I'm sorry, it should not. It should start with the campus. Bottom line, and everything else should and must fall into place.
Andre.
Sloppy Meyer. I mean, Mr. Urban Meyer. uh, what you should do is quit, man, because you've been doing a bad job at being the leader of a team. How can you lead a team if you're doing sweeping crap underneath the rug? If you're not being honest with the school, with the police, with your team, like, and I'm sure he probably preaches, being on time, being honest, and having each other's back. How you can't preach that anymore? You didn't have everybody's back. You didn't do what was best for the team. You did what was best for you. What was best for the image that you thought of the Ohio State. But here's the funny thing: you're making it worse. You're not making it better. And the fact that you try to delete some text messages as soon as the scandal came out, it even shows more of your character. It shows how much of a liar you are. So, um, everything is coming to you. You gonna get. You should get. They shouldn't even dismissed you with pay. They should have dismissed you without pay. But it's Urban Meyer. He wins games. It's the Ohio State. So that's enough said right there.
Amina?
Yes, this is continuing from last week's episode when Colleen and I were talking about a question we had, and it was about the Big Ten schools. Not general question, but it was like another type of question. But I feel as though there's going to be a break eventually with these Big Ten schools. Penn State was a few years ago with the Jerry Sandusky and Joe Paterno mess, and then we had the Larry Nasser stuff recently with Michigan State, and now we got this mess with Ohio State. These are three of the Big Ten schools in the country. And stuff just keeps happening at these 10 specific schools. Like, what is going on? Like, I've said it last week, and I'm about to say it again. What is going on with the culture? What is going on with the running of these schools? What is going on with the people that they hire at these schools for these positions, especially in these athletic programs? There's so much hazing going on, sexual assault. Like, what is going on? Like, there needs to be some type of explanation because it's ridiculous. You don't find this high, what's the term? You don't find this high level of craziness going on at state schools. It happens, but not at the level. You don't find it at community colleges. You don't find it at trade schools. It's always at these Big Ten schools. Like,
you never know. Even on
I
D
know that, but I'm
three,
talking about the big major breaking news that lagged in the media for long periods of time. It just be happening at these Big Ten
I mean
schools.
that may be the case, but remember, big D1 schools do get the most notoriety in spotlight because of who they are. But with that being said, it comes with a great consequence and sacrifice. It comes with it. Now, if you're a D3 school, say Westchester, or even Westchester, I mean, you're not that spotlight ain't going nor anything of that magnitude is not going to be highlighted like that because, well, unfortunately, it's a small spot and no one pays
I know
too
that.
much of attention to that.
I'm just saying that it has to be something going on with the culture of the schools that cause high profile mess to go on that should not be going on. Kyla and I had a whole conversation about this in person last week and last week on this podcast. What is going on at these Big Ten schools? Like, the people they hire are not trustworthy. You can't count on them. They are disrespectful. They put the institutions, the very institutions they work for, they put them in a bad light, and it's not supposed to happen. People, thousands of youth apply to these schools every year, and those that get in, they work hard to be there and to let their light shine. And they don't go to these schools to have their educational experience attached to these scandals. It shouldn't be happening, but it keeps happening. It's like ever since Penn State almost 10 years ago, it just keeps happening. Like, it shouldn't. Now we know this is not going to be the last case. We know it's going to be another school that's going to pop up. It's going to have some scandal going on, some mess, high profile tragedies that shouldn't be, but it has to end.
these institutions need to start suffering some consequences that come in between their money as far as endowments, grants, scholarships if they don't get their act together. That's all I gotta say about this because it's a mess. Like it's always the Big Ten schools in the media.
Put it down. Put it down. Put it down. Put it down. Put it down.
All right. On the Urban Meyer thing, first and foremost, let me just say something. I didn't watch the press conference live. I did see some of the highlights of it, and Urban Meyer came off to me like one of these arrogant prick college football coaches that came off, and I might be screwing up any chance I have of being able to cover an Ohio State football game if I ever once I start getting big. But in this case, don't really care. Ohio State, first off, what Urban Meyer did covering up the crime the first time, because this stems from something that happened in Florida where Zach Smith, the actual coach that Urban Meyer hired, and just to long story short, and to keep my spiel within 2 minutes, or 2 to 4 minutes, this is complicated. Urban Meyer was cool with Zach Smith's grandfather. Zach Smith's grandfather was the one who got Urban Meyer into football coaching. So the good old boys club of college football coaching right now, right? So Zach Smith is somebody trying to get in. He uses that connection. Allegedly, Urban Meyer hires him at Florida. And at Florida, a lot of people don't realize this, but at the University of Florida, Urban Meyer had a lot of kids at the University of Florida that had a lot of crime problems. But because he had Tim Tebow, a lot of that was covered up. So, but Zach Smith is a problem that has stemmed from the University of Florida and followed Urban Meyer to Ohio State. Urban Meyer failed to tell his AD that Zach Smith has been arrested, has been charged for beating up his then pregnant wife, Courtney Smith. Urban Meyer did some type of intervention, and this is what he lied about at Media Day a couple of weeks ago. And it just says a lot about a man, right? That you are so arrogant and conceited in your ways that you lie to us not once, but twice. You lie and say, oh, I had no idea what was going on. I never met with Courtney Smith or Zach Smith. It's not my fault. Then it turns out it is your fault. Turns out Courtney Smith kept some receipts. Turns out you and your wife have been doing some intermediate stuff that basically you might not have known that he was abusing. I find that hard to believe, but you might not have known that your strength and conditioning coach or whatever it was either strength and conditioning or linebackers coach, that your strength and conditioning coach was an abuser. You may not have known that, but to sit there at a press conference where you're getting a slap on the wrist of 3 games, you don't even get fired, which you should have, which if I was the president of the Ohio State University, I would have done, because this is not just a sham. This is not just a black mark on the Ohio State football program. It's a black mark on that whole dang university. Because I have to tell you this. If I'm an Ohio State student, grad student, undergrad student, staff member, I don't understand how you going to talk about, you want your students to be honest. You can't even really get rid of people for anything that deals with academic dishonesty or any type of stuff, because for real, all they gonna point back to is, well, the coach lied and he kept his job. The coach lied twice. Couldn't even give us the decency of mentioning the girl's name, right? See, this is what these schools don't realize. When you cake up for these college football coaches, you are destroying your reputation everywhere else. I love Penn State. But Penn State definitely has taken a reputational hit because of what happened there. We all like Michigan State basketball, but Michigan State has taken a hit because of what happened there. You know, it's always these days. It's not even just the college coaches anymore. It's always these people who spend so much money keeping these football players, basketball players, gymnastics players, and everybody else down. But they always want to keep these dishonest, amoral college football prick coaches. You know that? Not all of them, but most of them. You know, they always want to keep these coaches around that all they do, they win games and they bring them money. The fact of the matter is this. Urban Meyer should have lost his job. He should have. Anybody else would have lost their job. He didn't. Now he gets to keep his job, and then he showed his arrogance because he was mad that he got suspended 3 games. Boy, you did all the grounds of a criminal. You erased the evidence, as Dre pointed out. You sat there, you didn't want to take your punishment, so you were like a petulant child because you didn't want to take your punishment of 3 games, a slap on the wrist. You could have been fired. And I don't know how people on the board of trustees, like, I don't know, we brought up CBS Sports, so I would just shout out somebody that's on the board of trustees of Ohio State and has some explaining to do himself. Clark Kellogg, Mr. College Basketball himself on CBS. You know, I feel every board of trustee member of the Ohio State University needs to be trotted out there. They need to be put up in a press conference, and they need to explain why they voted to keep this man, knowing what they know, knowing the fact that he covered up that him and an assistant found a way to erase text messages for a year. Clark Kellogg, explain yourself. The rest of you on board of trustees, explain yourself. The president wanted to fire him, but y'all wanted to keep him. Now that's rumors, but that's been very, very highly validated that that's what happened. That's why it took them so long to get a report, because the president wanted to fire him, and a lot of the board of trustee members, not all of them, but a lot of them, wanted to keep him. Now that doesn't say anything about college football and these college sports and what happens in big money and why things like Penn State, why things like Ohio State, why things like Maryland can happen. Because, like I said last week, before that, we give these college football coaches way too much power. Moving right along to the next question. Actually, we're going to skip that one. Paul George, we're going to save that one for later. Paul George came out with a statement and basically said that it's going to take a super team to beat the Warriors, and the era of the one-man team is dead in the NBA. Y'all thoughts? Go ahead, Matt.
Lies and alibis. Lies. Total, complete, unadulterated lies. I'm going to tell you why. Yeah, optics say a super team can beat or should beat the Golden State Warriors. I say lies. Lies and alibis, because you look at the realm of history that is the National Basketball Association, and intelligent, smart, bright fans would see that you don't need a super team to beat a juggernaut like the Golden State Warriors. You don't need that. I think Cleveland has proven that when they beat the Warriors when they met the second time around. Lies and alibis. If you have good coaching, that can beat that team. Which, by the way, I'm telling you right now, this is a very good team. Don't get me wrong. I mean, look, the team is stacked and stout. I mean, like, come on, bro. That's a hard team to beat when it comes to postseason time. But if you have good coaching to knock off the reigning defending champs, 3-time, back-to-back Western Conference champs, 2-time defending champs at this point during this current run, it's all about the coaching. Now, I disagree wholeheartedly about the fact that you need a super team. No, you don't. No, you do not. If you put the right talent around the right people at the right time, you can beat anyone, anybody, anywhere, any place, anytime. The thing is, you gotta come with your A game when you come with the Warriors. You know they love to shoot. You know they got a big man that low that can shoot a little bit. Full darn well you have to defend that three every step of the way. You know full darn well you gotta play if you play defensive ball, you're gonna be all right. You gotta give the Golden State Warriors fits. Now I don't know why I'm talking about the NBA right now because this is what's it August. It just drives me insane, but it's up there anyway. And you gonna sit here and tell me you need a super team to beat the Golden State Warriors? You done lost your damn mind. You lost every sense of hope. In fact. Just the fact that someone just brought to my attention, you need a super team to beat the Golden State Warriors. You yourself have lost confidence not only in yourself, but you lost confidence in your own team that you are a part of right now. Now, bear in mind, yes, the West is stocked with quote unquote super teams, but if you look at the East right now, look at the East, okay? Look at the East. Boston, okay? I can't say Toronto, but Boston, Philadelphia right now. These are front runners. Prove me wrong. At this point, Boston, Philadelphia. These are front runners. And possibly Milwaukee. But you don't need a super team to beat them. You look at Boston. Just look at Boston. That's not, to me, I don't consider that a super team. But the fact that you got Hayward coming off an injury, that team is good is proven to be good without Hayward. Now imagine if he was healthy. That's all I gotta say. Because you don't need a super team to beat the Golden State Warriors. You don't. I mean, honestly, as a coach, to me, that's a slap in the face. Like, excuse me, look at the roster we got. Look what we're trying to do. Our goal. All 30 NBA teams are trying to do the same thing. Win the NBA title. Only one of them is trying to do it again. So, excuse me of your lack of faith, your lack of, whatever it is you've lacked thereof. You need to find them balls, roll them, and go back on that court, get ready for the season. And when you see Golden State, you see that blue and gold team. I know Mr. Mina here on the side probably snickering, giving me a cock-out look and everything else out. But the fact that I'm calling it right here, there will not be a Golden State Warrior team going to the NBA Finals. I said it. It's going to happen. I hope I'm wrong. I'm not solidifying that in stone yet. Oh, boy. I'm not solidified in stone yet, but because you got the MLB season finished, I got to take care of the NFL season, and I ain't even touched the NHL yet. So therefore, you know what? I think if Paul George should shut his mouth, know his role, know where he stands, and look, just play the game. Just play the game. You'll be fine. You don't need a super team to be on stage. Golden State. Golden State, okay, will be Golden State. As long as you play the defense, put the right matchups where you need to be, you'll be fine. I don't want to hear this nonsense about dang on super team. What's wrong with these people?
Andre.
No, you gotta let Mina go. I want her to get it off her chest. So I'm gonna go after Mina.
I gotta hear this. I have got to hear this.
No, don't.
All right.
I need to go.
You cool? You good?
I'm cool.
Uh-huh. All right. Let's get to it. Mr. Paul George. Duh. The Warriors are an elite team. So don't discredit them, Matt. And you know what's funny about Matt? He always like, that's all I'm going to say. Then he talked like 20 minutes after that. Like, okay, dude, that's not all you was going to say. But anyway, you definitely have to be a team on a top tier level. So let's look at the teams that beat Golden State. Cleveland Cavaliers. That's the only team that's beat them in their current primeness they are in right now. And what did we have? We had LeBron James playing lights out. We had Kyrie Irving playing lights out. And we had Kevin Love doing his thing, grabbing rebounds and
They got my
playing
man
good.
Draymond Green suspended for that crucial game. Don't forget that.
Can't forget that. You absolutely gonna have everybody on your team on a laser focus. They're gonna have to be playing lights out. They're gonna have to be playing great defense. They're gonna have to stop somebody in that big four. So whether it be Curry, it be Draymond, it be Clay, or who am I missing? Who's that? Clay, Curry, Draymond. I can't think of the fourth person. But
KD and Iggy
KD. How can I forget KD? I'm
and
tripping.
Andre Iguodala.
Yeah, I don't really know about that. He's not a lights out scorer to y'all. He plays good defense. Like I would say he's a good all around player, but he's not great. He's not the same level as those players. He always plays good in the system. When you don't put the pressure on him to be the number one guy, because we've seen what happened with the Philadelphia 76ers, he just stole money from us, and we still want some of that money back. But shout out to him. He did his thing. He got the Finals MVP that first year they had won. So, but it's going to have to take a Houston Rockets team that's got a healthy Chris Paul, that's got Carmelo Anthony playing within the system and gelling together with James Harden. James Harden not dribbling 50 times before he shoots the ball. It's going to take things of that sort. It's going to take LeBron getting Lonzo Ball on one page and Rondo playing the Rondo we known to come to love. It's going to take a Boston team that's going to have a healthy Kyrie Irving and Gordon Hayward and everybody that played great when those players were hurt, to play at that same level. It's going to take great coaching, great scheme. It's going to take on-the-fly type thinking. So you're just going to have to gel together as a team. You're going to have to play some great defense. That's it.
Amina.
I gotta agree with Matt about Paul George over there, how he's lost his faith in his own team. He was on the Pacers and he did what he did on the Pacers, and now he's on the Thunder with Russell Westbrook over there. Instead of showing a little hatred towards my team, why don't you get your A game up? As far as I'm concerned, Paul George has no opinions because he's never even been to a finals in his career. So how can he speak on the finals? That's what I got to say about him. Kobe Bryant recently came out with a statement concerning my team. He said that in order to beat Golden State, you can't play like Golden State. Got to shout out to Kobe Bryant for that, for his statement. How you got to think outside the box. It's 29 other teams in this NBA, and if they want to beat us, they got to think outside the box. They can't think in our box. Our box is for us. They got to have their own box to think in. And in order to beat us, you got to have your own system. As Andre said, you got to be up on your A game, defense, offense, team chemistry. A whole lot of these teams have players that don't mesh well on the court, and it shows. Teams that never even make it to the playoffs the last several years. Teams got to gut their rosters, rebuild. My team didn't come out of nowhere and do what they did to LeBron James for the past 4 years. No, the 3 of the 4 All-Stars we got on the team were drafted to the team. So that shows that other teams are not doing well with their draft picks. They're just not. Just admit it. Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green were drafted to the team. KD was traded to the team. Why can't people pick up great trades like that? Come on. Got coaches that don't know what they're doing, obviously.
Excuse me, I must stop you right where you are because evidently you're going into Blabberville. Okay, if you want to talk about front office, okay, you must have a good general manager / or
Yeah, my
or
team, Bob Meyer, he knows what he's doing.
I don't give a rat's behind about what your team is doing as far as I'm concerned. I'm talking about the other 29 team that's trying to chase your black behinds, okay, as far as getting their O'Brien trophy hoisted in their
I'm just
finals,
looking
wherever the
forward to
hell
the
it is.
next one we're getting
I
in June.
don't care a rat's patoot about that. The fact of the matter remains simple is you build your roster according to what's in front of you. Like you said, the hell with what they're doing. You gotta do what you gotta do. And look, right now, if you never mind the West, screw the West. If you look at the East right now, like I said, Philadelphia got me, albeit without a GM and someone that couldn't keep your fingers off Twitter. Boston and Milwaukee at this point. Those are your teams that pretty much you're gonna have to contend, and they're building their roster not even thinking about Golden State.
But anyway, Paul George, he just needs to work on himself. Stop worrying about the team that won 3 chips in the last 4 years and worry about making it to a finals for the first time in your career. That's all I gotta say about that. As far as Paul George, he needs to mind his business. He's over there with the ball hogger that only can do triple doubles over there with Russell Westbrook. He needs to worry about having a team that can actually compete. Like Kobe Bryant just said, you can't beat a team thinking like the team. Every team has its own chemistry, so therefore you can't try to beat a team and try to play like them. You're not them. You got to think different. All these teams is trying to play like Golden State, and that's where the failure comes from. You're not Golden State, so why are you trying to play like them? Think outside the box, like Kobe Bryant just said. And as far as this other statement, as far as teams having one man stars, I gotta disagree also with that, because just about every major team in the NBA right now has a face to it. You got the Pelicans, Anthony Davis, the Warriors, you got Steph Curry, the Rockets got James Harden over there. The Bucks, you got the Greek Freak over there. So I'm not understanding where he's coming at with this statement about teams no longer being led by one player. Paul George has a lot to learn as far as the truth about the NBA, and he has a lot to learn about how things goes. But that's neither here nor there. He just needs to work on the trash that's in Oklahoma City.
Oh, Amina, we know Westbrook gave Paul George that look he be giving when he said these comments.
Mm-hmm. I'm just saying he needs to, work on that mess that's in Oklahoma City and try to build something with that. Because they ain't won a chip since they was the Seattle Supersonics, and that team been defunct for 10 years. Next question.
Let me just say this. I'm gonna make this real short because the time person will come in and message me about how I'm going over time. I didn't know I had a timekeeper. But anyway, let's let me say this. I agree with everybody, but let me just say this. I do agree with one particular part of Paul George's statement. And I applaud this part in basketball. The depth of this. The one man band teams that we've all known and loved from our childhood. I agree with Paul George's statement on that end. The one man teams, the one man led team that get to the finals, the Allen Iverson teams, the Charles Barkley teams, they are dead.
Surprise, surprise. The game evolves. It happens everywhere.
They are dead. And I'm so happy because I'm so tired of all this. And this might be because I watched before I got into grad school. I was working with kids and watched them play self ball. It's called basketball, but it's really called isolation ball all the time. I'm so happy isolation ball is dead. And with that, we have the formation of the teams that are all about one player not getting to the about to say Super Bowl, not getting to the finals, which I think is great. You want to know why I think that's great? Because as Matt said, It makes these GMs, not named Brian Colangelo, it makes these GMs think more. It makes them trade. It makes them do things. That's what we need. We need these one-man band teams dying. So y'all don't like super teams. Well, guess what? This is the NBA. Every era has a super team, one or two. You know, we've been here before. I've said this before. I get tired of doing basketball during the history of the NBA for people that listen to this podcast. I know you must be tired of me keep saying it. But as I keep saying, the beginning of basketball or the middle part of basketball, Bill Russell era, what did you think the Bill Russell Celtics team was? It was a one-man team, but it was a super team because Bill Russell was so much better than everybody. What did you think those Celtics teams and those Lakers teams were? Super teams. What did you think Jordan's Bulls were? Super team. What did you think Kobe and Shaq's Lakers were? Super team. Every era has a super team. You know, we just had an off year where we had one in Cleveland. But usually they stay in an East Coast and a West Coast city. Okay? We're going to keep having super teams. The Lakers are a super team. You know, the Warriors are a super team. The Celtics are getting to the point where they are a super team.
Then Bad Boy Pistons is a super team too.
Some people might say that eventually once they mature and get another veteran, the Sixers will be considered a super team. We have a lot of super teams or teams that are about to be super teams in the NBA. I just named 4. Stop it. Stop it. There are a lot of super teams in the NBA. You need to understand, because the NBA basketball, this is why I love basketball, it is the most purest sport because unlike football, stuff can't be broken up by a predetermined notion. The fact that your quarterback broke his arm, now you're going to lose. In basketball, the stuff matters. It matters who you put out on the floor. In football, you could just plug and replace. You know, in baseball, you could do the same thing. Sorry, Matt. In basketball, you can't do that. You know, it's not rinse, lather, repeat like baseball and football. It's I need this. I can't get over the hump. I need to get a vet. I can't get over the hump. I need to draft a once-in-a-generation player. I love basketball because of that, because one player, 2 players, 3 players can change your fortune. So guess what? Like Andre said, we have super teams. Paul George, shut up. Get yourself, save your words for things that matter. This doesn't matter. We all know it's hard to beat the Warriors. We've seen them the last 4 years. But do it. Shut up. Work on your chemistry with Russell Westbrook and be able to beat the Warriors. You know, you just signed a new contract. You should be going to the bank instead of worrying about what the Warriors are doing.
Go work out with Kobe. He said he got a bunch of players coming out and work out with him.
Right, go do something else. You know, if you want to call Ben Simmons and work out with him, help him get a jump shot and learn how to play defense better, that'd be great for us. Do that. Do something else other than comment. This is why I don't like the NBA offseason and how long it is, because we get stupid comments like this. Moving right along. Simone Biles, forgot about that, and then we'll get to Matt's baseball thing. We don't need to comment on this. Simone, I'll just do this update. Simone Biles, she won her 5th world championship, first athlete to do that in a while. But it looks like she might be ready for 2020. So look out for that. There's really no thoughts that need to go into that. Yeah, Simone Biles is getting ready to start on that 2020 track if she so chooses to. I really don't think she has anything more to prove, but you know, if Simone Biles wants to do it, let Simone Biles do it. All right, Matt is BRB, so we will skip.
But hold up, let's give it a praise that she deserves. That's another black queen about to step up to the plate, just like Serena Williams. So this is about to be the reign of Simone Biles, like it was the reign of. It still is the reign of Serena Williams for so long.
True, very true. Her props to her. All right, moving right along to the next question because we got a couple of things to get to. Speaking of Serena Williams, this would be a nice little segue. Speaking of Serena Williams, the French Open is banning Serena Williams from wearing her Black Panther inspired tight pants. And to save us on time, well, actually, there's only 3 of us here. I think it's a stupid. We could just say that. I'll say it. I think it's a stupid rule. I think Serena Williams should be able to wear what you want to wear. I think it's dumb. I think that yet again, it's the tennis world trying to target Serena Williams, and I don't know how many more times she has to prove that she is beyond this and willing to step up to the plate. But you go Serena Williams, you go Simone Biles.
In regards to Serena's jumpsuit, it's not pants, it's a jumpsuit. It was like a one piece.
I know.
She had it specifically. She had a custom design for her blood clots that she suffered when she gave birth to her daughter. She had really bad blood clots that nearly took her life, and she had the jumpsuit designed to help her heal from that. So people don't understand that, people don't know that, but it needed to be said that she got it made specifically for her health, and people are against it. So you're actually against her life if you're against her jumpsuit.
And let me just say this: if Serena Williams, some of the black players, it shouldn't be Serena Williams. If you are a tennis player and you listen to this podcast and you think that, or whatever, you think that you should be able to wear what you want within reason. Obviously, it's tennis; it's a more conservative sport. I'm not saying that you go naked, but I feel like this is unnecessary because, as Amita said, she had it made for her life. And just to be real quick history lesson here, Serena Williams has always had a blood clot issue. That's why if you notice, she periodically takes these breaks. Both her and Venus have different things wrong with them health wise. Serena has blood clots. Venus has an autoimmune disease, and that's why if you notice, they take like 3 to 4 year breaks periodically in between tennis. Those are health breaks, health and fashion breaks. So people don't know why it takes them so long to get back into things because they both have different health issues. So there's that, and Serena should be able to do what she wants to do within reason. I don't understand why the French Open decided to do this, but I think they need to be called out on it, and I think it needs to change. So moving right along.
I know why they try to do it. They just like the NFL. They trying to stick to an old model of like Amina said, or I don't know if you said it, Colin, being conservative, and they don't want anything involving kind of political statements. And we know the Black Panther movement, just even Marvel is a political movement of advancing the culture of black people. Period. All around the world.
All right, let's get this baseball in, and then we'll go to our Eagles, and then we'll get on out of here. Matt, are you back? No, he's not back for his baseball thing. All right, so are y'all worried about our Eagles being in their 3rd preseason game and getting shut out by a baseball score, 5-0, by the Cleveland Browns? I'll start. No, I'm not worried about my Eagles, mostly because, we're not healthy. I was actually just telling my dad this. I feel like for us, it was great to win the Super Bowl, but hear me out. I don't want Eagles Twitter to come after me as if I'm saying it was a bad thing we won the Super Bowl. I'm not saying that. The fact that the Eagles played in the Super Bowl really weakened the 2018 to 2019 Philadelphia Eagles. Now, hear me out, because I feel like Andre is about to jump down my throat right now. Hear me out, though. This is what I mean. Now, there are a lot of injuries that are currently running through our team because of them playing in the Super Bowl, which was great, but because of different things that they did. Alshon Jeffrey, we all know, tweaked his shoulder, going up for that amazing catch, and he's been out ever since because of the fact he caught that football, and he was injured throughout most of the season, but it didn't really start hurting him, and he didn't really have to get surgery until he made that amazing catch, and that really broke him. So now he's out for a little bit. Tim Jernigan, same thing. Hurt his back playing in the Super Bowl, trying to get through stopping New England's run defense, run offense. Brandon Graham, he just got cleared because he tweaked his hamstring, sacking Tom Brady. You see what I mean here? I'm not saying it was a bad thing for them playing in the Super Bowl. I'm just saying that one led to another. We won the Super Bowl, and as I've said on this podcast, as Matt said on this podcast, and as Amina said on this podcast, you don't win the Super Bowl without some cost. And unfortunately for the Eagles, they didn't lose a lot of people besides Patrick Robinson to free agency, but they did lose, and Trey Burton, but they did lose a lot of players to injuries that happened because of playing in the Super Bowl. So, as a result of that, the Eagles' offense particularly has been really hard hit. They're not letting Sproles and Jason Peters play or Carson Wentz. So it's just been Zach Ertz, Dallas Goedert, and our offensive line and fourth and third string players, which we know is not going to be when we play Atlanta next week. So I'm just saying I'm not really worried. I think Nick Foles will show up. Saint Nick will appear against the Atlanta Falcons. He'll be hyped up. He'll see that banner. He'll hear. Now, this is not confirmed. This is just what I think will happen. The Eagles will come out. They'll have dreams and nightmare. They'll bring in Meek Mills to perform it live as the Eagles run out on the field. He'll be inspired once again. He'll throw like 5 touchdowns. He'll make a lot of y'all happy. He'll make me happy because I'll be reporting on it, and it'll be so great. So that's what I think. I'm not worried about the Eagles. It's just injuries that happen because of playing in the Super Bowl. Go ahead, Andre.
Colin. In the end, we know so little of each other. On the contrary, I quite agree with you, my good fellow. We did suffer a lot of injuries. We lost a few players, but we got the main pieces. Our foundation is very strong. We still have our number one quarterback, Carson Wentz. We still got our great defense led by Malcolm Jenkins, one of the safeties that speaks up in the league about injustices that are going on in America, and is a great leader just for his defense, man. Like, he's for the team, period, in the organization. Preseason? Am I worried about preseason games? You got to be kidding me. Are you serious? Do you know the history of preseason? Do you know the history of teams that do well in the preseason? It has nothing. When I say absolutely nothing to do with the regular season. Teams are trying out players. They're trying out plays. They're seeing what works and what doesn't work, and they just want to get their feet wet, basically. And they want to cut guys, and they want to sign guys that they need to fill spots, to fill roster spots, and those backup guys, and they want to get their practice squad loaded up. So that's all it is. Like, I don't take it for more than what it is. Like, preseason, I can really care less about. And I hate to say this, but you can skip preseason for all I care, But I know it's necessary. It's one of those things you gotta, it's almost like a run practice, but it's just in front of the lights and camera. That's all it is, really. But my Eagles, man, we gonna fly, baby. That's what we do. We defending champs. We coming hard. So listen, game 1, you gonna see what time it is. So we could lose all these games in preseason for all I care. Let's go, baby. Fly, Eagles, fly.
All right, Eagles Mafia. Here goes the creator of this question. Go ahead, Amina.
Eagles, what?
Bird gang, baby.
Yeah, about that. Yeah. Eagles. It's still preseason. The Eagles, they have one more preseason game left. I think it's on Thursday. They play the Jets. So I wouldn't be concerned because, like I said, it's preseason. It's tryout season. It's like the cheerleading squad where you go practices and see if you can make the squad for the season. There's been some years in I almost said the NBA. There's been some years in the NFL where teams have lost all their preseason games and they've done well. There's been some years where some teams have won all of their preseason games that have done terrible. I think the Cleveland Browns, either last season or the season before, they did well in the preseason, but they tanked their whole entire regular season. So preseason is just trials, just to gut the roster and to determine who is going to make it for the big show for the 16 games of the regular season going forward. Um, as Kylan said, I do believe that the Eagles have been negatively impacted by the fact that they were in the Super Bowl because they played so long in the postseason and they had injuries that really shook up their roster. But they're eventually going to bounce back from that. They start the season opener game against the Falcons, so we'll be able to see the Eagles hopefully bounce back, and hopefully they have another great season. But preseason, don't stress out, don't worry. Eagles fans, to you all out there, I think y'all team is going to have a good season. I think you all going to be battling for the top spots with the Giants over there because they're doing some great things. I see. To bounce back from the horrific season they just came off of. But
The Giants.
I think the Giants are going to get the. I think hush your face, brother. I think the Giants are going to get the second spot in the NFC. But the Eagles and the Giants, they will be running that division out. You know that.
You know, hold up. Before you keep going, I got a friend. I'm going to shout him out right now. He's from upstate New York. His name is Daniel Booth. He's right now because he's been telling me forever that it's going to be the Giants and the Eagles fighting for the top spot. And I've told him straight up what I'll tell you. I think the Giants will surprise a lot of people, but they have the tendency to either go 10-6 or 7-9. And y'all know what I'm picking, the latter. Even though they're a real good team, they have my man Saquon Barkley. I don't think that's enough, even with a fully healthy Eli and the fully healthy Odell Beckham to overcome the schedule that they have. But you know, I will let Danny and the Giants fans have their moment and say I fully expect the Giants to at least be up there with us in contending for a second playoff spot. But obviously, I think my Eagles will take the top spot and be the number one seed once again. But I do agree with your stance, even though I laugh at it. So
yeah, so I feel as though it's going to be the Eagles, Giants, Redskins, or whatever that mess is in Dallas for the last spot. Said that I got to refer to their team like that. But that's what it is with that mess out there in Dallas. You can't even say the name. It's horrible. But yeah, Eagles. I think they're going to be fun, especially when their key players that they had from the previous season that are still on their roster come back from off of injury leaves and whatnot. But they do need to gut this roster. They can sacrifice this game against the Jets. Let the Jets have it for this game that they have to play this week against them. Because it really doesn't matter. It's just preseason. It's just gut the roster. But they'll be fine. But the real show starts when they play this game against the Falcons. So all y'all Eagles fans, I hope y'all have a good season.
and let me just say, just to finish this off before we go on to our, I guess we're just not Matt left, so I guess we're not going to do baseball today, unfortunately. Well, I will do one thing. Baseball. You know, the Red Sox are, you know, just to keep it AL and NL. The Red Sox are falling apart a little bit. They still have the best record, but they've been losing at least the last 6 games. So have the Phillies, but the Phillies, the last time I checked, were winning 5-2 over the Blue Jays. So the Phillies are still a couple of games out of first place. They can still win and get to a playoffs. And I know a lot of people, especially in Philly, would be really excited if it's the Sixers and the Eagles and the Phillies that make it to the playoffs. I think only the Flyers, somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, didn't make the playoffs this season. So, we will see what happens with that. And to end this little thing with the Eagles, I want y'all to understand, and by y'all I mean not Andre and Amina who are here. So my listeners, the people to Eagles Nation. Let me talk to Eagles Nation real quick. Now, if the Eagles do go 0-4, you will hear people like ESPN, Fox Sports. I mean, I could pick out a couple of people on each network that are noted Cowboys hate, that are noted Eagles haters that will start talking, especially if the Eagles go 0-4 in preseason, even though preseason doesn't matter. That will be really, really on the Eagles. I could think of people like Nick Wright, a Syracuse alum. He'll be talking mad trash about how he might think the Eagles will go 0-4. He was also talking mad trash before we destroyed the Vikings. So he's not to be taken seriously when it comes to his Eagles takes. Colin Cowherd will talk mad trash. Who else? Skip Bayless will talk mad trash about, the Eagles are going 0-4. Who else? Doug Gottlieb, another college basketball person who's reaching above his station. We'll talk about, and we didn't even get to him. He will talk about how the Patriots won a preseason game and how that means they're going to destroy the Eagles in the Super Bowl and that a preseason game mattered than what happened 6 months ago. No. Eagles Nation, don't get worried if the Eagles go 0-4. It probably won't happen, but if it does, it's preseason. Don't worry about it. All that matters is what happens against Atlanta next Thursday. All right. So Matt, go ahead and with your baseball thing, and then we'll.
Before I get into that, I'm gonna answer that question if you don't mind me. If you don't mind me, as far as like who talks smack about the Eagles, and you listed Skip Bayless and the like that talk trash about the Eagles. And do I have look to answer your question? Should I be concerned about the Eagles or as far as the preseason is concerned? No, I'm not concerned at all. In fact, I'm more. I don't want to say the word optimistic, but I'm very secure in what this team can do. It's preseason, ladies and gentlemen. It is what it is. Of course, they're going to try out new things, new wrinkles to add to their game. You cannot take stock in preseason. And with that being, and speaking of sounding the alarm, right? Phillies are now on their way to finally salvaging a series and avoiding a series sweep. Excuse me, take it back. They're avoiding a series sweep right now. And my question I'm gonna put this out to the panel right now. Are you concerned about the Phillies playoff hopes? Just to give you a heads up, the Phillies are two games coming into the day out of first place in both the wild card and the division, particularly behind Atlanta. And they have not played well in the last 2 weeks. Injuries has beset this team recently, and they caught the injury bug at the wrong time. So, I'm putting it out there. I'll start with Dre. Are you concerned about this Phillies team making it to the postseason? I'll put it out there.
Oh, Dre, you there?
He was breaking up. I didn't know he said my name or not. No, I ain't concerned, man. Listen, like Colin says so many times, this is title town, man. Like, we on a high right now, cuz until we see when our teams lose, we gonna always believe they gonna win, cause we in the winning season. So I believe that the Phillies gonna pull together, and they are on the slump right now, But it has go. But I think we got a great great manager, and I think he's going to rally these guys together, and they're going to make a great playoff run. Now, will they make it to the World Series? I mean, that remains to be seen. But I don't think they're going to get kicked out of the first round of the playoffs.
Kyle, I'm not sure you're interested. Are you concerned about this Phillies team making the playoffs? Are you concerned?
No, because they, as I've said on this podcast before, they overachieved to me because I have said this on this podcast. I fully expected them to not do well and be as bad, if not worse, than they were last year. So the fact that they are overachieving just makes me think that they're ahead of schedule. And, I call it overachieving because I had such low expectations. And so them coming down doesn't really affect me because, like I said, I had low expectations, and I'm happy for them if they make the playoffs. That just means that, they're missing a few key pieces and maybe a Mike Trout, wink, wink. And they're a Mike Trout away from contending again and being those Phillies. It's been 10 years, so I would like to see another World Series, but it is what it is.
I'll take a swing at this one. Amina, do you think this team are you concerned about this Phillies team not making the postseason?
No, I'm not concerned. It's baseball, and what I've noticed about baseball that I've seen over the years that I've watched games is that anything is liable to happen. Where you may think a team is doing horrible, but then they could have a jump start at any point in their season, and they could do well as well as the vice versa. And I also got to agree with Kylan's analysis about the situation, about how they're overachieving. And I believe they'll be fine. Regardless of what happens, they'll be fine. They put their work in this season, and I seen it. They went all out. So I think they're fine.
I'll admit to this, and I said this before, and Kyle hit the head on the head. This team is ahead. This team's ahead of schedule as far as them getting to this point. I said again, I did not expect this team to be in the hunt this late in the season. I didn't expect this team to be in first place by the All-Star break, to be honest with you. No one did. You can ask any Philly fan. You can ask any Philly fan about where this team is or should be, or if they're supposed to be at this point. I'm able to tell you, no, they shouldn't be here, but they are. But most importantly, I am not concerned fully that they'll make it, but I want them to make it. I need them to make it. It's the fact that, here you are, you maintain this pace at this point, you might as well finish the job. So that's my take on it. I'm gonna keep that short for today.
All right, y'all. One more, and then we'll get him on out of here. Joel Embiid thinks he can be. I don't know if we talked about this, but Joel Embiid has been saying that he wants to be. Well, two things. Ben Simmons yesterday said that his goal right now, and it's not getting a better jump shot. We'll talk about his quote from that next week. But he said that his goal right now is to help the Sixers get to the next round, the next round of the playoffs, past the second round, which would be the Eastern Conference Finals, which I have them in anyway. And Joel Embiid wants to be is saying that he's going to be the MVP of the league. So, your opinions on that? I know it's not basketball season yet, but real quick, do you think that the Sixers can get the next round and we can get on out of here? So, Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons comments. Your thoughts? Go ahead, Andre.
Hold on. What was their comments again? Because you broke up. I'm sorry.
Ben Simmons says he wants to help the Sixers get to the next round, which would be the Eastern Conference Finals. And Joel Embiid says he has improved enough that he's going to be the MVP this upcoming NBA season. What do you think?
Well, I love their comments. I love that they're looking forward and they're not content where they are. So obviously they're on the right mindset. Joel Embiid, you should always feel that way, that you're going to be MVP this year. You should always be improving your game. And you did look great in the summer when I saw you playing for the Africa team. You were doing excellent. Just seeing just seeing little clips to you and how you're working on your game, and I appreciate that, and I appreciate it from Ben Simmons too. I've seen some clips of him working out with some kind of pickup league. It was kind of like the Drew League, similar to that, and he looked pretty good. But Ben Simmons is rookie of the year, so I expect nothing but greatness from him. And the same is true with Joel Embiid and Markelle Fultz. You too, buddy, because you were the #1 draft pick for a reason. So that jump shot should be wet come game time. Now, making it to the next leg of the playoffs, yeah, y'all definitely can do that. Because the East is weak, and it still is weak. It has been for the longest time. I don't know whenever it'll catch up to the West. I guess whenever players get interested in going to East Coast teams. I don't know if that's ever going to happen because the West Coast teams are just more attractive to go to. Whether it be going to Houston or going to LA, those teams are just more attractive. Nobody, unless like you talking about New York where the mecca basketball is. Now that's attractive. Playing in Madison Square Garden. Who doesn't want to play in Madison Square Garden? Shoot, I want to play in Madison Square Garden, and I'm not a top NBA player or a top basketball player. But the Sixers, man, they can be as good as they want to be. They can get past Boston if they want to, but they're going to have to work together to get Markelle Fultz on that same page they're on. So, I just can't wait for the season to start. I know it's right around the corner because here comes October.
Amina?
NBA preseason is next month. Regular season is in the month after. So the season is coming. Joel Embiid's statement about him getting MVP for this season. At this time, I don't see it. Just being honest, based on teams, the Sixers had great performance this past season. They made it that far, and then they got eliminated by the Celtics. So that's congratulations to them on that part. But at this time, he has to. Joel Embiid, in order for me to honestly say he has it in him to get the MVP, he has to have a mind-blowing season where he goes all out. He's healthy. He plays the entire season. He plays career high numbers for me to say that he's going to get the MVP. He has the potential to be to run for it as far as being one of the people that's up to get it. But as far as just giving him the title right now, I don't see it. He has to do more, in my opinion, to get that. It's a prestigious offering given to one player per season. It's just not given to anyone. So he has to show that he has to earn it, he has to deserve it. He has to go out and show that he wants it. So season is just about to start, so we'll see what happens with him. Tyler can go.
Listen, I'm all for it. I love Joel Embiid. I want more of him inspiring the team. I'm very happy with his summer and the fact that he was out there working with Jason Tatum, Kobe Bryant, and doing a lot of stuff this summer. And I think that he will have a monster season. Ben Simmons, I'm just happy that he's talking basketball and not talking about any Jenners being in Philadelphia and not trying to move in
That's
together.
his cupcake, though. That's his baby cake.
We ain't talking about that. This
That's his cupcake.
this about his employer right now. It's not about stuff that has nothing to do with basketball.
His relationship.
I need Ben Simmons focused on basketball, and I'm happy with that quote to see that he's not as starstruck as I think he is. I'm so happy. That's what I want him focusing on, getting us to the Eastern Conference Finals and getting a jump shot. Those are the two things I want. The two J things he needs to be focusing on. Getting to the next round and the jump shot. Not Jenners. Jump shot, next round. Boom. Joel Embiid can definitely do it. I think, like I said, he will have a monster season. I think Markelle Fultz will be the missing piece. And, yeah, I think the Sixers will make noise this season. In their first full season together as a unit, I think they will make noise. All right, yeah, so that wraps up episode 98. Oh, my goodness, inching closer and closer to 100. Next week is episode 99. I want to thank Andre and Amina and Matt for coming and rocking out with me today. I hope you enjoyed it for the hour and change that we were together. Definitely have a great rest of your weekend. Have a good week. Good luck in school to everybody, whether they be in grad school, college, high school, kindergarten, elementary, all levels of school. Good luck as you start school, or if you've already started school, good luck. Have a great school year. Have a great work week. See y'all next weekend. Deuces.
And stay safe with this heat wave coming to the East Coast this week.